Eagles. Welcome to Library Time with Mrs. Bradford. And today, as you can see, I have a guest. This is my mom, or mi madre, or mamacita. She is here today because this book that we are reading together today is written in both Spanish and English. And I don't know if you know this. I know I've told some of you, but my mom grew up in Mexico when she was your age. And she speaks Spanish fluently. And so I wanted her to be here to help with the reading and also just ask her a few questions because the book we're reading has a lot of cool information in it that she knows a lot about because that's where she lived. So why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Ruth Lucero. I teach Spanish right now. I have been teaching Spanish for almost 30 years, but I learned Spanish when I was 2 years old when I first moved to Mexico and I was a little kid.
So why did you move to Mexico?
My parents took me to Mexico because they were missionaries and they were moving there for a permanent position in working with the people in Mexico.
And how long did you end up living there?
7 years. I lived in Mexico for 7 years.
So what grade were you when you had to leave Mexico?
My grades in school are pretty muddled because I'd go sometimes part of a year in Mexico and part of a year in Canada. And so I know that most of my fourth grade year was in Canada, but I think I may have started part of it in Mexico. And that's the last time I went to school in Mexico. However, my school was taught to me in English. I went to an English school even though I lived in a Spanish-speaking country.
Okay, that's awesome. So our third graders are learning about immigration and what it means to be an immigrant. And I know you're on an interesting journey with that right now. So I don't know if you know this or if you caught on, but she went to school in Canada, which means she's actually Canadian. So she is not technically a U.S. citizen, but she's currently in the process of becoming a U.S. citizen. So since you're not a U.S. citizen, what are you? What does that look like?
I'm a Canadian by birth. I was born in Canada. I lived in Mexico for 7 years and then moved into the United States. So the greater part of my life has been in the United States. However, I'm not always sure what I am. Some days I feel very American. Other days I feel Canadian. And sometimes I feel like I really belong in Mexico.
All right. And you have what we call a
residence card for the United States.
All right. And what does that mean?
That means I have permission to live here. The government of the United States has given me permission to live in the United States.
All right. By Carmen Lopez Garza. The pictures in this book are all painted from my memories of growing up in Kingsville, Texas, near the border with Mexico. From the time I was a young girl, I always dreamed of becoming an artist. I practiced drawing every day. I studied art in school. And I finally did become an artist. My family has inspired and encouraged me for all these years. This is my book of family pictures.
Los cuadros de este libro los pinté de los recuerdos de mi niñez en Kingsville, Texas, cerca de la frontera con México. Desde que era pequeña siempre soñé con ser artista. Dibujaba cada día. Estudié arte en la escuela y por fin me hice artista. Mi familia me ha inspirado y adelantado todos estos años. Este es mi libro de cuadros de familia. Carmen Lomas Garza.
The Fair in Reynosa. My friends and I once went to a very big fair across the border in Reynosa, Mexico. The fair lasted a whole week. Artisans and entertainers came from all over Mexico. There were lots of booths and food and crafts. This is one little section where everybody is ordering and eating tacos. I painted a father buying tacos and the rest of the family sitting down at the table. The little girl is the father's favorite, and that's why she gets to tag along with him. I can always recognize little girls who are their father's favorites.
La feria en Reynosa. Una vez, mis amigos y yo fuimos a una feria muy grande en Reynosa, México, al otro lado de la frontera. La feria duró una semana entera. Vinieron artesanos y artistas de todo México. Había muchos puestos que vendían comida y artesanías. Esta es una pequeña parte de la feria donde todos están comprando tacos y comiéndoselos. Pinté a un padre comprando tacos y al resto de la familia sentada a la mesa. La niñita pequeña es la preferida de su papá y por eso es que él la permite acompañarlo. Aún hoy siempre puedo reconocer cuando una niñita es la preferida de su papá.
Oranges. We were always going to my grandparents' house, so whatever they were involved in, we could get involved in. In this picture, my grandmother is hanging up the laundry. We told her that the oranges needed picking, so she said, "Well, go ahead and pick some." Before she knew it, she had too many oranges to hold in her hands, so she made a basket out of her apron. That's my brother up in the tree picking oranges. The rest of us are picking up the ones he dropped on the ground.
Naranjas. Siempre íbamos a la casa de mis abuelos, así que cualquier cosa que estuvieran haciendo ellos, nosotros la hacíamos también. En este cuadro, mi abuela está colgando la ropa a secar. Nosotros le dijimos que las naranjas estaban listas para cosechar y ella nos respondió, «Vayan pues, recójanlas». En un 2x3 tenía demasiadas naranjas para sostenerlas en las manos, así que convirtió su delantal en canasta. Ese es mi hermano en el árbol, recogiendo naranjas. El resto de nosotros estamos recogiéndolas que él deja caer al suelo.
Okay, well, some other questions. So in the book that she's helping us read, so she'll be reading the Spanish-speaking part, we started talking about the fair, and I believe it's pronounced Reynosa. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what are some things that you want to tell us about this cool piece here, memories that came to you?
Well, whenever I think about going to a fair where there are a lot of Latino people, you definitely want to eat their tacos. They are the best.
Okay.
They are absolutely the best.
Better than yours?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The only thing you have to remember is there's no rush. A good taco takes time. They are not pre-made. They didn't plan ahead for how many. And so you place your order, and it might be 20 minutes before you get your plate. But you'll get it, and it'll be worth it.
All right. Now, you also read a couple other things here. So we were talking about the oranges, or the naranjas. What are some memories you have about naranjas?
At Christmas, we would get naranjas in paper bags with peanuts and candy, and they would be handed out to all of the kids at any big special event. They were just a brown paper sack. There was always a big orange in there and a bunch of peanuts. And what's really funny, and you guys would probably think it's pretty gross, is they would give us candy that wasn't wrapped. So, like hard
like other
candy.
people's hands touched it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, but they were sitting with peanuts. Not peanuts that are shelled, but peanuts that still have the shell on them.
Oh, okay.
So the first time you put that candy in your mouth, which was super special, you had to be aware that you were getting peanut shell coating on the outside of the candy.
Interesting. So probably not a lot of peanut allergies you had to worry about.
I never knew anybody had a peanut allergy until I was an adult.
Okay.